Past 3 o'clock. Written by Richie Joyce. Narrated by Christopher Tester. Forward. I decided that I would pen the story of Sebelius Sallow on December 4th, 2023, a significant date marking the 33rd anniversary of my grandmother's passing, an event that forever shaped my life. It took another 13 days before I began writing on that cold Saturday morning in December. Inspired by the speed with which Mr. Dickens wrote my favourite book, A Christmas Carol, I wanted to create my own story. So monumental was the man in question, he cemented his name to an era that already had been labelled. While Queen Victoria's long reign defined the period as the Victorian Age, it was Dickens, through the term Dickensian, who magnificently exposed the social classes, institutions, injustices, laws, protocols, pageantry, and tragedies of the time. My love for Queen Victoria, her husband, and the age they shaped began before I had conscious memory. Having been introduced to the period at some point, with little recollection of the exact time, I remember the strong parallels through my own upbringing. This began with my own grandmother. She was my queen, and I her faithful subject. After losing her husband quite suddenly, she descended into a permanent state of mourning. They had raised 7 children, and were blessed with 18 grandchildren, not all of whom my grandfather got to meet. From the moment I was born, I became my grandmother's constant companion. Despite having such a large family, she desperately longed to be with the man who left this world against his will and long before his time. He always injected life into any situation. She, in turn, would have sacrificed anything to keep him by her side. This is a homage to everything and everyone I love. Charles Dickens penned his tale of Ebenezer Scrooge in just 6 weeks, while I wrote my tale of Sebelius Sallow in a disappointing 63 days, with an additional 35 days required for editing. All in all, 98 days to create my ghostly little Christmas book, of which I am terribly proud, is not bad going. Mr. Dickens created his masterpiece under severe financial constraints, but had the luxury of taking nighttime strolls and 3-mile expeditions on horseback. Although I have no monetary issues of my own, I work full-time in a busy call centre, having other people's voices in my head around 97.8% of the time. I am no Charles Dickens. To which I know I will be readily met with a resounding, "No, you most certainly are not." That is not to say, however, that I'm any less worthy as a human being, a writer, and someone who has stories inside them that they yearn to get down in print. This novella is sprinkled with Dickensianisms that any ardent Dickens fan will recognise instantly. My best loved is Pattycake's exchange with Colonel Cecil Yule, inspired by the exquisite scene from the Old Curiosity Shop, where Mr. Swiveller scrutinises Mr. Cheggs in a contemptuous, mocking manner. If you're familiar with this scene, I hope you'll appreciate my homage. If not, I urge you to delve into the 8th chapter of that Dickens masterpiece. Many aspects inspired the story of Sebelius Sallow. Naturally, Dickens himself, the queen who ruled and became a mother, albeit an absent one at times, to her nation, my own wonderful family, and my love of Christmas and the carols that enhance it. This brings me nicely to the Christmas Carol, Past 3 o'clock, which inspired me to weave it into my own story, not only for its beautiful melody that plays from the clock that Sebelius created, but for the fascinating origins of its own creation. The carol itself had not in fact been written during the time of Sebelius Sallow, but the melody certainly existed. In 1924, exactly 100 years ago, the English Anglican priest George Ratcliffe Woodward put his poetic and musical talents to good use when he published a collection of hymns and carols. Among them was one which was to become a favourite of mine, Past 3 o'clock. Reverend Woodward's text was set to music by composer Charles Wood, using the exact melody of the traditional medieval tune London Waits.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?